South Korea plays host to the next round of the championship. River on pole from Sebastian Ocampo and Arnett Babness Jr. Then it's Cici starting 4th, Kari Lopez in 5th. UK Ball starts 6th from Jonathan Sims and Tonali Gabo. Then it's Santino Milan, Jack Carter, Oscar Folstad down in 11th. Then it's Daniel Bogdasarov, Pablo Sierra, Pierre Gasly, Lewis Olsen, Tommy in 16th, followed by Leo, Daf Sanchez, Cosmos, Bastien Tan, Anot Kiwi, and Miguel de Souza. Well, with the longest lap on the calendar, Revo on pole once again from Sebastian Ocampo. All 5 lights go on. And the Seoul Prix is green, and that's a very decent start from the front row men. On board with Revo, who is not covered off Ocampo, who's actually had a pretty bad start off the line. Yellow's in the first sector, already is backwards facing Nissan of Pablo Sierra, championship hopeful, facing the wrong way going down the hill. Big blockage there, and Santino Milan also involved. So that's both Nissans facing troubles. Kari Lopez, who's up in 3rd, has a 5-second time penalty. It's a drag race between the top 2 in the World Driver standings as Sebastian Ocampo takes the lead and Revo swoops by to reclaim his race lead here in South Korea. It's an 11-lap race, one of, if not the single shortest lap counts in this championship, but with that you get one of the longest laps on the calendar. Bogdasarov getting a track limits warning, trying to fight with Lewis Olsen. But for the Nissan Nismo team, this is actually the worst case scenario. They've got Pablo Sierra, the man for the team who's fighting for the championship, down in 19th, and their other driver, Santino Milan, yes, he's in 14th, but he's not really able to make an impression on the upper parts of the field. But out in front, Revo still heads the field from Ocampo and Akari. Cici, he's about 2 seconds off the back of the Aurelio Pinnacle man, but UK Ball also gaining on him. Same with Ocampo, who might want to try something, heading down into turn 1, and look at that, he pulls to the inside line, makes the lunge, and just about tries to hold on to the position. He's still not cleanly into the lead yet, but Ocampo does head the field now. So they go up the hill and onto the longest straight on the calendar. Attack mode in the dry. Down this entire straight starting here, but of course it's so long that the slipstream does just enough. Pablo Sierra further back gets a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. No collisions for the lead here, but Ocampo does get a fastest first sector, and he still just about covers off Revo as he now goes for his 5th win of the season. Gabo gets passed by Jonathan Sims, who's got the inside line going down that little corkscrew downhill. Bogdasarov gets the track limits warning, still fighting with Olsen and defending from Gasly. Volstad in 18th gets a track limits warning, his teammate down in last. However, according to the timings, with penalties applied, Sierra would actually drop to last position, and for the guy who's led the championship for the vast majority of the season, to finish a race in last would be absolutely detrimental to his championship hopes. But Ocampo is already leaving the pack behind. He's a second ahead of Revo, so even if it did start to go dry, wouldn't matter to these guys. Fastest lap goes to Sebastian Ocampo, 1:33.9, and Cici sets a 1:32. He's on the back of Kari Lopez, who has a 5-second time penalty. Not gonna forget about that. Tonali Gabo gets past his future employer there. But Akari now trying to defend from Cici as Bogdasarov gets a 5-second time penalty for colliding with the back of Lewis Olsen. He's been fighting with that Dragon Renault car all day. That's a man who won the first race of the season, but it's just not been going his way. Akari gets a track limits warning, and he's still fighting with Cici. UK Ball smells an opportunity here on board of the season 10 champion. Not in this season's title fight by any stretch of the imagination. As you can see up ahead, Akari still fighting and gets past Cici. Bogdasarov gets another track limits warning. He gets another one, and he's going to get a time penalty like Leo has just done for colliding with presumably the side of Pablo Sierra, who gets himself up into 19th position. Akari Lopez setting a faster second sector of anyone, but for Lopez, I'm not too sure if a 7th place finish would really do him all too good, as now Anot Curie getting past Miguel de Souza in that Aurelio Mahindra. For all we know, this could be his last season in the championship. Lap 4 of 11 we go. 7 to the checkered flag. And Ocampo still leading the way. 9/10 of a second ahead of Revo. These two, 1 and 2 in the race, 1 and 2 in the world driver standings. Looks like 3rd position will still be held by Pablo Sierra. And Jonathan Sims, just going to point this out, ahead of his future employee in Tenali Gabo, who's under threat from Inet Babinus Jr., on board with Babinus Jr. And he's going to try and make his way past. Is the Renault man in front of him? Does he try and go for the lunge? Heading into turn 4. No, not quite. He's too far back. There was a swing and a miss. Attack mode would really benefit him. And historically, races around this sort of track layout, one of the longest in history, if not the single longest track we've ever run in this championship. As you can see, we've got a massive fight for 14th. Milan dropping to 15th position there, might even drop to 16th with an RQE trying to go around the outside. The two Aurelio Mahindra guys making a statement claim to try and get themselves further up the order. We now love to see how this could work out, as Milan does drop down to 16th, and Miguel de Souza trying to get past the Nissan driver. But as for the top 3, it's still Ocampo who leads from Revo and CC. Revo would dearly love another race win to his name, as CC sets a new fastest lap. But as it would stand, it just doesn't seem like it'll happen. U-Cable all over the back of the Aurelio Pinnacle man in front of him. And he pulls out to the inside. It's still raining quite heavily in this part of South Korea. As they rise the hill, then U-Cable trying to out-drag the Aurelio Pinnacle man alongside him. But of course, the Honda powertrain not actually as powerful in the straights, and he's been given a track limits warning. The corners is really where the Braun Honda car seems to excel. But still, Akari defending with all he's got. He's relatively new to the championship. Of course, this is his 8th season in the championship. He joined in season 12. However, back in season 1 was when U-Cable joined the championship. It was when he got his first win, as we were on board with his teammate, who is in his first season in the championship, and he's going alongside Daniel Bogdasarov. It's Bogdasarov versus Gasly here, 2 Frenchmen, and it's a battle won by Pierre Gasly, who will now have the opportunity to try and fight with Lewis Olsen. And just pointing this out in terms of the constructors, this could very well help both Andretti and BS Automobiles, as we can see Carter and Sanchez fighting over 9th. They're going to go down into turn 1 side by side. Hopefully neither of them getting into contact. Even if they do get a penalty, it won't hinder that race that much. Look at that, wheel to wheel between Sanchez and Carter. And I think now Anot Curie and everyone behind him, they're coming in for Inters, we believe. The track does seem to be getting a lot less wet, but is it time for Inters, or should they have stayed out, waited a lap, and gone onto the full slick weather tyres instead of the intermediates? Not too sure. Volstad up to 18th. Sierra still in 19th position with that 5-second time penalty. And as we go on board with Revo, who's losing time to Ocampo ahead, track limits warning to Pierre Gasly. It's his first one of the race. I'm beginning to just think about whether or not it is time for dry tires. Because look at the track. It's still very visibly wet. The rain is still falling, so we should see the top guys coming to the pits and put on some intermediates. So in comes Sebastian Ocampo from the race lead. Revo will come in alongside, and those are soft tyres going on to Revo's car. It is dry according to DS Automobiles. They're having to hold him for a little bit. Ocampo, who has the furthest down, the third furthest down pit box, he's come out on hards, so Ocampo will be able to go to the very end of this race. However, he's come out of the pits on hard tyres. Jonathan Sims also comes out of the pits on hard tyres. Anyone else going to try and go onto the hards? Because it just seems to me that the mediums are going to be the tyres that we'll see to the end of the race. And we've got a full course yellow out of the race in the pits. Pierre Gasly. That's the first retirement of the day. And of course, when a driver retires for any reason, we do fly a full course yellow. Just seems like it was an electrical failure. They couldn't get the car out of the pits. They couldn't get him out of the box, so that's unfortunate for the Born Honda. The driver as Volstad comes out of the pits on hard tyres. So that's 3 drivers who have come out on hards. Revo is closing in on Sebastian Ocampo. Is the Philippine number 76 regressing the decision to go on to the longer lasting hard tyres? Revo, who last time out won a similar wet to dry race. Not last time out, rather few races ago. He's going for his second win of the season. Ocampo going for his 5th of the season. And this is it. They rise the hill. They're going to go into the bus stop chicane. They might be alongside each other. Maybe even earlier than that. They head up the hill. 1/10 of a second. That's all it is. Into the heavy braking point. Ocampo's still about ahead. Revo's going to get attack mode coming down into turn 1. It'll switch back as they go into turn 4 after this hairpin bend. Down the inside goes Revo, cuts across the track and takes the lead of the Seoul Prix ahead of Sebastian Ocampo, whose teammate sets a new fastest third sector of anybody. Jack Carter gets a track limits warning, who is just about ahead of the Andretti man, who's currently alongside him as they rise the hill. Ocampo's got attack mode. He's trying to close in, but those hard tyres aren't anywhere near as quick as the softs on Revo's car. Most of the field are actually on the medium compound of tyres, so they think that they could try and go to the end. The softs probably won't go to the end of the race. It'll take a lot. That's the intense. That's a new fastest third sector of anyone. He's down in 21st and last position. And he's not even got attack mode. That's how quick he's going with that fresh air. He's not getting the dirty air that Ocampo is currently getting. That's hindering his ability to try and close up to the back of the DS Automobiles man in front of him. And Akari Lopez, just pointing this out, he came out of the pits in 5th position. Less than ideal in all forms of the word. But as we now look to Daf Sanchez, currently in 9th position. Oh, yellow flag as, spin for an QE. And Volstad involved in that as well. Both Nissan drivers. And that's a missing front wing. Oh dear. That's the insane. Out of the E3. Virtual safety car. And someone's almost certainly got a puncture. And it's Santino Milan, who's run into tyre issues. Virtual safety car called. And I believe someone might have lost their front wing. And it must have been a DS Automobile powered driver. And yes, Tommy and Pablo Sierra both losing their front wings, and for Pablo Sierra, he's now got a 10-second time penalty, so that's his day getting even worse. Missing front wing for Inokui as well. We go back racing lap 9 out of 11, and I simply do not believe what I've just seen as we now watch Revo with 2 laps to go rather, and those soft tyres aren't holding up as well anymore. Cici closing up to the back of Sebastian Ocampo. He's trying to give Sims Motorsport Nissan in his last season their first race win. Swings a little too wide there as they now run over that little bump in the track. 2/10 of a second off the back of Ocampo. So he's closer to Ocampo than Ocampo is to Revo. There's a chance that some drivers can come in for a regularly scheduled stop. It'd be quite the risk they'd be taking. As you can now see, Leo and Falstad fighting over 15th. There goes Leo up into 15th position. And Ocampo actually giving Revo some breathing room. As Milan comes in for his second stop. Round the hill they come. And onto the penultimate lap of the E-Prix they go. CC does peel into pit lane for his second stop. So that elevates UK Wall up into third position. And Ocampo losing time here. He's come out and out of the pits. That is, I believe, Santino Milan. Yeah, it is Milan. He's just come out behind Ocampo. And that's actually still kept Ocampo's attack mode, but he's dropped out of the attack mode flat. So, for Sebastian Ocampo currently, I think this could be it for his race. And Akari Lopez just pointing this out. He has gone past UK Ball. Jack Carter gets a third track limits warning. CC came out of the pits in 13th position. Here comes Daf Sanchez looking to the inside of the Dane in front of him, but he's just not quite able to get past him yet. And just keeping my eyes both on the minimap and on the timing screens, this could be Revo going for his second win of the season, but look at how much wear there is to those softs. He can try and bring the car home to the end of the race. Ocampo's 1.7 seconds off the back. There's a minor risk of punctures as back past Ocampo goes Santino Milan, as if to say, we would much prefer that Revo wins this race than you, because of course Ocampo is the World Drivers' Championship leader. As on to the final lap of the E-Prix we go. Revo still heads the pack. Ocampo outside of attack mode distance. He's 1.7 seconds off the back, 1.9 seconds off the back. Revo is putting everything he's got into these last few turns, and he's 2 seconds ahead of Sebastian Ocampo. Tenali Gabo fighting with Babinas Jr. over 5th position. As for the race leaders, well, Revo, he's shot off into the distance, 2.2 seconds ahead, but his tyres are definitely beginning to give way. He has just punched in the fastest first sector of anyone. That's been taken by Daf Sanchez, who's still fighting and has lost the fight pretty much to Jack Carter. Tenali Gabo has gotten past Babinas Jr., so that could actually be 4th position if this man, Akari Lopez, is 5 seconds or less away from Tenali. But for Tenali's countryman, as Pablo Sierra sets a new fastest lap, for Revo, he only made one stop. He went from inters to softs. His soft tyres are beginning to give way, but he should be able to do it. He now drives into the final chicane. He's got to be a lot more leisurely about this than he otherwise might be. Revo takes his second win of the season here in South Korea and wins the Seoul E-Prix. Ocampo sets a new fastest lap. Akari comes across the line in third, but it'll be UK Ball on the podium, making it an all-podium top 3. An all champion top 3 rather. CC sets a new fastest lap, wondering if whether or not coming into the pits was the right decision. Santino Milan came across the line a lap down, but for Nissan, this is their Vietnam. 17th and last, and it's not even going to be 17th, it's going to be 18th at the end of the day. As we now go on board with Anot Kiwi, who did pit for a second time after Milan's puncture. As he now rises the hill, he'll come across the line, last of the finishers on the lead lap, in 19th position. He rounds the final turn for Aurelio Mahindra. He's over a minute off the race lead. 1 minute and 5 seconds off. And this is the podium then. For only the second time this season, Revo takes home a race win, and where else to do it but the first championship Seoul E-Prix. Following him is Sebastian Ocampo and UK Ball to make the top 3 All World Drivers Champions, Revo the Season 16 and 17 champion, Ocampo the Season 14 champion, and Ucable the Season 10 champion. And as for the rest of the drivers, Tonali Gabo finished in 4th from Makari Lopez and Inet Babinas Jr. Then it's Jack Carter, Daf Sanchez, Jonathan Sims, and Lewis Olsen in the top 10. Outside of that, you've got Cosmos, CC, Daniel Botsarov, Miguel de Souza, Oscar Falstad, Leo, the top 16 with Tommy, Pablo Sierra, and Anot QE being the rest of your finishers on the lead lap, with Santino Milan being classified a lap down. Your non-finishers were Bastian Tan and Pierre Gasly. In the driver standings, Sebastian Ocampo leads the way, but only ahead of Revo by 7 points. Then it's Pablo Sierra in 3rd, quite a ways off the championship lead. Then it's Daniel Botasarov, Oscar Falstad, 2 points ahead of both Ucable and Jonathan Sims, who are 6 points ahead of CC. Then it's Akari Lopez and not QE, tied for 11th between Tonali Gabo and Leo. Then it's Santino Milan, Lewis Olsen, Inet Babinas Jr., Miguel de Souza, Cosmos, Jack Carter, Bastian Tan, Pierre Gasly, Daf Sanchez, and Tommy. In the constructors' standings, heading into the next round in Monte Carlo, DS Automobiles back at the top of the constructors' standings for the first time since last season. Then it's Andretti Honda, Nissan Nismo, Sims Motorsport, Nissan, Renault, Edam's the top 5. Following them is Aurelio Pinnacle, DS McLaren TGR, Braun Honda GP, Aurelio Mahindra, Dragon Renault, and DS Venturi Formula E team. We'll see you guys next time then when the Formula E Monoposto Championship returns.